Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of the Registered Nerd Podcast. I'm here with Snack Packs, and it's me, Guilty Spark. And today we're going to talk about Spider Man Homecoming, which was a great film. I was actually really happy. There's going to be a lot of spoilers in this discussion, so if you
You
don't.
mean Far From Home?
What did I say?
You said Homecoming.
Oh, yeah, that one. God damn it. Why did they have to put home in all the names? Why does that have to be a thing? I'm leaving that in there.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, we're talking about Far From Home, not Homecoming. Um, yeah, like it was a long movie, and I don't know about you, but like I felt its length at times.
Yeah, there were some definite lulls where I was like, "Are we going somewhere?"
Yeah, and there were a lot of fake outs that I kind of knew were going to be fake outs, but I mean that's just the nature of Mysterio, so I was completely fine with that. Like if you
Yeah.
weren't like familiar with Mysterio's character, he's just one of the Marvel universe like tricksters. He's a lot like Loki, but he uses technology instead of whatever the fuck Loki uses, kind of like magic or technology that's on the level of magic. Um, but yeah, overall my impressions were very good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think there were a couple of like weird character moments, but otherwise, and then there was some stuff that was like comedy that landed. Some of it fell flat for me, but I liked it overall.
Yeah, I think as far as criticisms go, I've got a couple. I think I really like Tom Holland's Peter Parker. I wish he was a little funnier. He was funnier in the first movie. He's supposed to be a little bit more like wisecracking, and I think I get in this one like he's dealing with the death of Tony Stark, and he's got a lot going on with like his feelings for Mary Jane, and so I think that's why he wasn't quite as funny. Which I kind of get that, but I do miss it a little bit. Like I kind of want to see Spider-Man be a little more lighthearted, kind of like he was in Civil War, where he's like making jokes as he's, shooting webs and stuff like that. I always think that's great. But that's a pretty minor critique because honestly, I don't even know if it's really a critique. It fit the tone of the movie. Um,
Yeah, I thought it was good.
and then the other critique is, and this is another minor one. I don't really have a lot to complain about here, but there was a lot of CGI in this film, and sometimes it felt like maybe it was a little bit of the B team CGI. And I think number one, it was just like this film might have had more CGI in it than I've seen in any Marvel film. Um, like, and it showed. It showed. There were times where it's like, that looks a little crappy. But I mean, just the nature of like Mysterio and the types of enemies that he's creating and stuff. Like he's creating a smoke monster and he's creating a giant lava monster, and then obviously all the drones and stuff, like it all had to be CGI, and it was just kind of constant. And I also feel like a lot of their best artists were probably working on Endgame. So like I'm sure once they wrapped Endgame they kind of pulled people over, but I don't know, it's the special effects were good. They weren't like Black Panther bad.
Yeah.
Like that last scene in Black Panther where they're fighting like on the train.
Oh
um
yeah, that was like that was pretty awful looking.
Yeah, and it's also kind of getting to the point too where they literally just like hand wave it away, where it's like why isn't anyone else from the Avengers like coming to help with this like world-ending supposed global threat? And they're like, well, Thor's off-world. Don't ask about Captain Marvel, which I kind of appreciated. Like, don't ask about Captain Marvel. She sucks. We don't want her in our movie. But then they were like, Doctor Strange is not available. Like, what is Doctor Strange doing? Like, what's he dealing with that's more important than something that's going to kill everyone?
Yeah, right, right.
It's book club, he's got something else to do today. And then they didn't even like bring up Black Panther. They didn't bring up Ant-Man. They're just
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
yeah.
I kind of get it. You can't assemble the Avengers for every movie. It makes it less special when you do, but
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess the the official explanation for that would be well because uh Doctor Strange would have known that Fury was a scroll the whole time. You
well,
know what I'm saying? Like
well, Well, Doctor Strange, yeah, Doctor Strange would have known too that like all of Mysterio's bullshit was bullshit.
Right.
Like, so you can't have him in the movie. But
Yeah.
that's kind of a plot convenience
Oh,
thing,
that's
which
a
kind of
plot
sucks.
contrivance to the max. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I'm just saying that that's probably going to be the official stance that most people take.
yeah, yeah. Well, and this is what I thought was so great about Homecoming, the first Spider-Man movie, is it's like it was a minor thing. It was like, I mean, it seems like a big thing, but it's not a world-ending thing. It's like, okay, you've got some gun runners that like have some alien tech, and it's kind of dangerous, and it's happening in like Brooklyn and Queens, and Spider-Man's like, oh, I'm gonna deal with this, and even Tony Stark, like he brings it to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark's like, that's what the FBI is for. Just let them do their job. And
Yeah.
and so I thought that was great because it was you got to have the individual character stories be smaller stories to justify not bringing in help, and they did a good job with that. Like I thought, like Iron Man 3 was a great example of that. It was like a little bit of political intrigue and stuff, but it wasn't really the world is going to end. It's like they're going to place, this guy in the presidency. It's like, okay, it's not going to kill everyone. Um, you don't need Thor to deal with that of like the political power structure of like the United States. Like that's fine. Iron Man can handle that, or the gun runners in New York. Spider Man can handle that. This, I think, when you're talking about like elemental beings destroying all life on Earth, like get Thor's ass on the phone, get Doctor Strange, you know.
Right.
But but what can you do? It's a movie.
Yeah, I know. There's only so much you can put in there, but some of the stuff I don't know. I like I said, I liked it. I thought some of the is her name actually Mary Jane, or is her name just MJ because
It's
they wanted.
no, it's Mary Jane. They just always just call her MJ.
No, I was gonna say, are you sure? Because I thought that they called her something different in Homecoming, and she was like, "Just call me MJ."
Now that you say that, I'm really not sure.
That's my question. I was like, is that who? Like,
I I think it's still Mary Jane. I'm pretty sure her dad calls her that in the first movie, but I'd have to go back. I've only seen that movie once, even though I really like it. I never like bought it.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I like her character. She's very different than like how she was in any of in the original Spider-Man movies, or like kind of how I picture her character in like the comics. But like I don't know,
yeah.
I like that they've done something a little bit weird with her where she's kind of awkward, and um that actress is in an HBO show called Euphoria, I think.
I tried watch. I couldn't finish the first episode. I mean, I'm gonna try and go back and finish it, but I was just like, oh my god, do something.
Yeah, I made it through the first episode, and I was like, that was that was pretty graphic. That makes like Game of Thrones look like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Um,
Yeah.
like I'm kind of surprised that Disney doesn't have in her contract where, hey, you want to play Mary Jane, you can't be any HBO like hardcore, sex shows. But I don't know, times are a changing.
Well, I'm sure that if that was the case, we would have seen a BuzzFeed article about how they're trying to control her.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
and
Like
and maybe that's why, maybe Disney,
that's
because
yeah,
my wife said that actress she was like a Disney, like that's where she got her start. She was like a Disney Channel star, which it seems like
yeah.
that's a weird thing to me that like um a lot of the people that they kind of like they become like sex symbols, or they become like big actresses. They get their start in Disney and like the Mickey Mouse. I don't even know if Mickey Mouse Club is still a thing, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever the modern equivalent of Mickey Mouse Club is. And then like as soon as they hit puberty, Hollywood is selling them as like, look, watch her deal with her like sexual development on HBO. I'm like, that's kind of creepy and weird. Like, not that those things, like, not that it's inappropriate to explore those things. It's just weird that they're bringing up the same actors, and they're like, oh, this is a weird career trajectory. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm just an old man. And I don't know. I think it's strange, but
Yeah.
um as far as like, I don't, do you think people in the audience that didn't know Mysterio were watching that and being like, Mysterio's a good guy? Do you think anybody was fooled?
I'm sure there's somebody in there who thought like see the thing is I'm sure there's somebody in the audience who thought like when they first saw this movie, they were like, oh, it at some point in time they were like, oh, I got it. Mysterio's a villain. And everyone's like, yeah. It's like it's like
We
it's
all
like
know.
it's like that scene in Futurama where they invite all the robots for the party on the island, and Zoidberg is like, "Why would Nixon invite all of these robots?" He's like, "Unless it's a trap." Why is no one gasping? Because we all
We
figured
all
it out
figured it
already.
out already. Yeah, I'm sure there was somebody that thought that, but it was like even if you didn't know the fact that there's like no villain, you just have like they've never done in Marvel. They've never done like faceless, you know, elemental
Right.
villains. There's always been like they're sometimes their motivation is weak or their characterization is weak, but they're always like characters. So it's like obvious, even if you don't know Mysterio, that he was probably going to be the villain. I
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing is like if you have any idea of who Mysterio is, you're like, well, obviously he's the main villain.
right, right. I think they got his look perfect because he has a pretty like corny looking outfit in the
Oh yeah,
comics,
definitely. Yeah.
but I don't know, they did a good job of making it like it's a mix between like Iron Man tech and like something Doctor Strange would wear, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like that mix between mystical and high tech. And I thought that
Yeah.
was perfect. And it didn't really look silly, you know. Kind of
Yeah.
sometimes I think when he had his helmet on and it was doing that like the blue gas inside the helmet, that looked a little tacky sometimes. But I mean, I don't know, it was like it looked like in the Marvel universe what somebody trying to come up with the idea of a superhero would look like.
Yeah.
Like if you looked at Vision and you looked at Captain America and you looked at you know, a couple of the others, you'd be like, oh, it's got some glowing shit on it, and it's got a cape, and it's got kind of a cool helmet that appears and disappears like nanotechnology.
Well, I mean, after you see something like Doctor Strange, it's not too far off from, what you're normally seeing because like Doctor
Exactly.
Strange's outfit is still kind of like weirdly, out there too.
Yeah, and it fits that his outfit definitely fits his character too.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the guy that plays I always forget his name. The one that is kind of like Spider-Man's handler.
Oh, Happy?
Happy. You know why? Because his name is freaking stupid. I always forget. I always forget about Happy. I liked his character in this movie. I'm glad that they gave him a little bit more to do. You know.
Yeah. I really I mean, it's still whenever you see Peter talking about Iron Man,
Hmm.
like you can still see like there's a lot of emotion in there and there's like, oh yeah, it still hurts. And it still hurts me too.
I know. I know. They, they, yeah, they really developed. They took their time in like that whole mentor like father figure relationship that they did between Tony Stark and Peter Parker. They've done really well, and like I think it's just great that like it comes through so much that you know it's shaped, you know. And I mean they are kind of from a Disney point of view, like Spider-Man is a huge character. Of all of them, he's the one that has the most name recognition. I mean, I don't know if any more, but I know when the MCU started, Spider-Man was the one that his comics sold the best. You know, he had already had successful films. um he's
Yeah.
probably still the biggest name, and I think Disney's kind of done a good job of angling things so he's kind of going to be he's the new Tony Stark. And I mean they kind of overtly talk about it in the movies, but I think that's a good thing to build, you know, phase 2 around, or
Yeah.
phase
This
15
is
or whatever
this
phase we're
is
on.
phase 4,
Phase
I
4.
think.
But I think of this is like, yeah, like phase 4 but generation 2, you know,
Yeah.
like it's and so
Yeah.
far I think if you look at generation 2 as, I don't know, it, I almost put Ant-Man in it, but kind of not. I don't know if Ant-Man has really any more films in him. They're already working on another Black Panther because that movie made more money than God for very little investment. Um,
Yeah.
I have a feeling the next Black Panther is not going to be such a big hit. Um,
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean,
it'll make money,
it'll definitely make well because it's a Marvel film, so it'll
right?
make money. It's like when people talk about how oh um Captain Marvel was a success because it made so much money, and it's like Yeah, but was it? Because it could have made a lot more money. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. I think Captain Marvel was kind of a middle of the road financial success. I mean, I don't think they've lost money on any one of these films.
No, I don't think so.
So like you know, it's do you either make more, do you make a lot of money with a Marvel movie, or do you make more money than God with a Marvel movie? Like those are pretty much your options.
Yeah. We
Um,
talking like, you know, Ant-Man levels of making money, or are we talking of Endgame levels of making money? That's
right.
like,
It seems like the bigger ones, clear a billion. I think Captain Marvel actually did clear a billion, but holy shit, they promoted the hell out of that movie too. And not
yeah,
and not that like heavy promotion always leads to success, because I mean they heavily promoted Rogue One and they heavily promoted Solo, and those both. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with, the next couple films, and they almost need to. I don't know if they do, but it's like what's going to be the next Thanos, part of the thing that made these movies, and I'm glad that they're taking a little bit of a break before they dive right back into this huge overarching threat. But there was always like in the background of the other movies, there was always Hydra as the
yeah,
smaller big threat, and then there was always Thanos, which was the oh my god, we're all gonna die threat, looming in the background.
yeah.
So
I mean, I think they're really taking their time with developing Spider-Man into something to be a leader. But I think I mean, they're definitely playing the slow game with it. Just
mhm,
wish that he would be a little bit more confident with each movie instead of having to have to rediscover himself in every one.
right,
You know what
yeah,
I
and
mean?
and I think that gets into the new Captain Kirk thing in the new Star Trek movies, where it's like he has all this character development in the movie. And by the time the next film comes out, it's like he's completely reverted and he's forgotten all the lessons.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I think you're right. I think we will see a more adult Spider-Man that's willing to take on more of a mantle of responsibility in the next film for sure.
Yeah. Um, but I don't know. I thought overall they tied it into the whole overarching universe pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
fit. It definitely, it showed the world and kind of the some of the aftermath of the snap and all that and everyone coming back.
yeah. Kind of wish. I mean, I kind of wish they would have shown a little bit more of that, but maybe they're kind of like gonna put a little bit of it in each movie.
Yeah, from you'll see it from different like characters' perspectives.
Yeah. Um,
Most of the ones that are still alive and still active were ones that were gone for the 5 years of the snap, so
yeah.
mm,
I don't know. It's just it's an interesting concept just having them talk about how like like when May said she reformed inside
right.
an apartment where there was other people living there.
Right, and that would happen. I didn't understand what Happy said about this was my blip beard. Like you wouldn't grow a beard or age while you were gone. So I didn't get that.
No, I think he meant he grew it during the blip. I think that's I took that as that's what
Oh, he grew it. Oh, because I don't know if he had disappeared or not. I don't think they said. I don't think it was
I don't think they touched on. I can't remember if they touched on it or not, but I think
okay.
like he basically just said, "Oh yeah, I grew it during the blip," kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay. I didn't quite get that. And then the Asian kid, I guess, like while the like he was around, like he was younger than them, and
Mhm.
then when they all came back, like now he's their age.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt bad. The one kid that's kind of a brat, the rich kid, at the very end of the movie, there's just a scene where like his mom doesn't come to pick him up at the airport. Like he asks about his mom, and it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it makes you feel bad for that kid, but then they don't do anything with it. I thought
Yeah, I'm
like,
wondering where what the hell that I was wondering what that was about because I was like, okay,
yeah, I thought maybe like Peter would kind of befriend him or something. I
yeah,
don't know. Just instead, they did nothing with it. I feel like there was maybe a cut scene or something.
yeah,
But
probably.
mm,
Um, oh, and you left before the end credit, so it it's revealed at the end credits that Hill and Fury are scrolls. and that the
What?
real Fury is actually with the Skrulls on their like home planet or home base or whatever.
Okay.
And you remember the main scroll from Captain Marvel.
I still haven't seen Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay. Well, he was taking the place of Fury, so he calls Fury, and he's awkwardly explaining to him, "Yeah, I gave Peter the glasses, and it went well." And then the other scrolls like, and he's like, "Oh, things kind of devolved a little bit after that, but everything's back to normal." He's like, "But we need you to come. But we need you to come home." And then Fury, he's like sitting on like this beach thing, sipping like a drink or whatever, and he stands up, and then it's revealed that he's actually on like the scroll like mothership thing, and
Okay.
he walks out and he's like, "All right, it's time to get back to work," kind of thing, and that's how it ends.
Well, that's interesting. That kind of makes sense because the whole movie, Nick Fury just felt kind of off.
Yeah, and
Like
well,
he was being a
and then
little bit
there's
too like when he's like bitch please or something like that. He was just like oh, but that's kind of interesting that Samuel Jackson was able to do that though, where it's like he's playing the character but playing him just like 10% off because I did get that feeling, but I thought like maybe he's just bored with the character or something or just hamming
yeah,
it up. But that's kind of cool that there's an actual like in-universe reason.
yeah, and I don't know. I just thought, oh, that the only thing is that I'm like, where was that gonna go? Like, what was the purpose of it? I mean, I'm sure it'll be explained later, but
Is that why with when like Spider-Man brought up Captain Marvel, is that why he was like don't invoke her name? There's some bad blood there?
I think so, maybe.
Okay. Weird. I should probably watch Captain Marvel, but I definitely am not paying for it. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't pay for it.
all right. Well, that's pretty much covers the film without giving away too much. I mean, I'm sure anybody that listens to this is going to have already seen it. But anything else you wanted to cover?
Um, I there was some, like I said, there was some stuff that. What did you think of like some of the jokes in it? Did you?
I think some of it landed, some of it kind of fell flat on its face.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
mm,
fan of his comic relief sidekick, at least not as much in this movie as I was in some of the others. Um,
yeah. No, I wasn't a big fan of. I didn't laugh at any of the stuff with the teachers, except for the one part where the guy's like, "Switches, man."
Yeah, though
Uh,
I didn't think so either, and that's surprising because the actor that plays the awkward teacher, the white guy, is amazing in Silicon Valley. But in Silicon Valley, he's kind of like a dark Satanist. You know, I don't know. He's just has a really dark sense of humor, and he means it. And in this, it was just like he was awkward and sad, and just none of that humor came off for me either.
oh yeah, for sure. And then the one part that I really laughed at was when Happy threw the shield, and he's
And
like, "How
it
does Cap do that?"
that part was funny.
Ah, that was
That
pretty good.
that was pretty solid. So, all right, well, that was episode 13, shorter episode than usual, but we just wanted to talk about Spider-Man and Far From Home, not Homecoming. Maybe we'll talk about Homecoming because why not talk about a 2-year-old film? Um, but
um, anything coming out on your radar that you're interested in seeing?
I need to see Toy Story 4. It almost feels like an obligation more than I really want to see it, but I'll probably go see Toy Story 4 with the wife.
I don't even know if I want to see it.
I heard it was okay. Keanu Reeves is in it, which is kind of like intriguing
Yeah, I know.
because
I'm like, oh yeah, he's an interesting.
yeah, Keanu Reeves rules the internet right now, so I'm like, I should probably support it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I'm interested in seeing that. I did see Child's Play, and that was fun. Is the best word I can describe it.
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty stupid.
I listened to the Red Letter Media review of Child's Play, and I thought, that sounds like one I'll probably watch on Netflix.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely worth a single watch, but I
Why
wouldn't rush out to see
why
it.
does a movie like Child's Play come out in the middle of summer? Why doesn't it come out in like October when
I
things are
don't know. There's probably some stupid Conjuring universe movie that's like coming out in October that everyone's gonna be wetting themselves over.
geez,
I'm honestly done with that. Like I I hate I'm becoming to the point where I hate those movies because they're all formulaic and they all do the same thing where it's like, "Ooh, scary thing with a jump scene."
That seems to be what happens with horror. They find something that works and then they make the same movie 14 times. Like that's just the horror genre. That's why I thought like Ash versus Evil Dead was so refreshing because even though that kind of did the same thing and it started to show its age in season 3, like that movie would do some crazy shit and it was like comedy horror, which is a little bit different, but man, they came up with some really interesting ideas of how to spew body parts on people and, and do really disgusting things in entertaining ways. But all right,
But
well, that was episode 13. Thanks for listening.
thank you.